This week I learned that the recovery from a procedure is pretty much worse than the procedure itself. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. I guess within the second week of March here, it's just going by so quick I can't even keep up with where we are really. But not the best of weeks, and if you watched last week's update, you kind of know why. But we're going to get into all that did happen and begin like usual by talking about what am I reading. I did finish Alex Verus #1. This is Fated by Benedict Jacka. Basically, what I can say about this is I wasn't miserable while I was reading it, but it was fine. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad. I kind of like the world that Mr. Jacka set up here, but it's nothing that really has differentiated itself from every other urban fantasy that I've ever read, which, to be fair, I haven't read a lot. The big question I get is it like Dresden Files? I think if you want to see those things, you will see those things. But like I kind of said last week, I don't think that Jim Butcher created, magic or, the urban fantasy setting or, someone who's open with their abilities, with the public. It's nothing outside of that. I don't feel like it's very much Dresden Files. Like I said, this deals with a lot more with, the political underpinnings, I think, of that world, dealing with the council and how magic is kind of relates to, what should be and what should not be abused, I think, in public. But I don't know. It's set up well enough that I like Luna. I like Alex. These are interesting enough characters that I would definitely keep going with the series. But I did hope for a little more, if I'm being completely honest with you. I was just hoping this first book was going to, even though everybody told me it is until like book 3 or 4, just like Dresden Files, it takes a little bit to kind of find its footing. But I was hoping for a little more to make me excited to want to pick up book 2. Because like when I finished Stormfront, I wanted to pick up Full Moon. I was really excited enough about the world to want to keep going like immediately. And this, I didn't really get that vibe. I like it enough to keep going, but it isn't like, you know what? I'm making up my list for April, and I got to make sure I have book number 2 on there. So again, I like it enough to continue, but it was nothing that was so mind blowing that I said I gotta break my TBR. Not that I have one right now, but I gotta break everything in my plans to say, hey, I gotta pick up book 2 immediately. So I was kind of hoping for that. Just a little bit. About, a little past halfway on Third World Time Travel. If you guys don't know, I did have a major procedure. I don't want to say major. I had a procedure, let's put it this way, a surgery this past week, and that kind of really affected my reading time. Clearly, part of it is nerves leading up to it, because I don't care how old you get or what you've been through, going under the knife will always have you a little nervous, I think. And it was like I'd be reading, and it's like I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, I don't even know what I just read. So I didn't read a ton this week. And then the recovery, there's lots of medication involved, and a lot of times that medication makes me feel worse than the actual procedure does. So it was a tough reading week. So I didn't get through the rest of this. I'm liking the book. I'm liking it plenty. It's nothing like Michael Crichton Timeline's going to like change your life or anything like that. But I think it's interesting what he's doing with the time travel rules. So I said it always feels like people are either using the Back to the Future rules, or they're using the Michael Crichton Timeline rules. This feels like it's got its own rules, and I appreciate that. But it's nothing where I'm going to say you don't have to have like a PhD in quantum physics to understand what he's talking about here. It's very much that Blake Crouch kind of way where it's layman's terms. You can understand everything that's going on here. And I'm interested to see how it kind of wraps up. And I'll wait till next week when I'm done with it to give you like my final analysis on the book as a whole. But as of right now, I'm liking it. It's very much more so that I've been drugged and poked and prodded all week, and haven't really had as much time for reading as I did plan. That leads me to what am I going to read. Hopefully I can get back into the swing of things this week. Obviously I will finish that up, and then I got to get to book number 3 in that read along, which is Relic of the Gods. Lots of people, it seems on my Discord, have already finished it, and that's awesome. I'm glad that they've kind of rolled through it. Kind of a mixed response, if I'm being honest. Now, that's a small sample. There's only a handful of people that have kind of finished it already. Kind of a mixed response. There's some people being like, I don't understand why you didn't like it as much as I did. Some people say maybe they just hoped a little more. Some people are saying they're suffering from fantasy burnout. So I think those things can always kind of play into it. I don't know where I'm going to fall on it, clearly. With me, is I love book 1. Book 2 was good, not great. But I think it's one of those things where if this one sticks the landing, I think I'll look back on book 2 and be like, okay, I saw what he was doing there, and I really like it a little bit more in hindsight. But again, I'm having a good time with Philip's series, regardless of how, like I said, book 1 was better than book 2. I don't think that necessarily means that book 2 was bad. There was some issues I had with it, with the pacing, with the introduction of many new characters. But with everything in the world established now, I'm thinking maybe that this one's going to hit all those beats and give me all the answers to those questions that I have through the first two books. At least I am hoping that's what's going to be the case. Then I'll be reading Paper Towns, which is a John Green book, because my wife and I are going to a signing of his. And if you did miss that memo, I want to make sure that I read at least one of his books before I go to that signing here in town on the 26th, I think. So we're going to be reading that one together. She's wrapping up a book she's reading right now, so I'll probably be reading Paper Towns and this at the same time, just so we can read that book together. And it looks like a John Green book doesn't seem to be very long, so I don't imagine that would be too hard of something to kind of get through. That's really all I got planned. Like I said, I didn't read a ton this past week due to that procedure. Don't want to talk too much about it, but the bad news is they still don't know what's wrong. So life goes on, right? Hopefully. I mean, it's a good thing because you're like, hey, they didn't find anything bad. They didn't find the C word or some tumor or something like that. But they're just like, yeah, we don't know what's going on. And you know what? I am from the generation that was raised by rub some dirt on it, walk it off. So I'm not a hypochondriac or anything like that. But it is one of those things, like I said, it's very frustrating because you're like, my body is telling me something is wrong. I don't understand why, two different doctors now can't see anything. Very, very, very frustrating. But we'll try to go on with life as normal here while I deal with that. Let's get on to this week on the channel, guys. I did wrap up February. Talked about my book of the month. Felt kind of like a little bit of a chicken shit move, but it's the first time ever I had co-books of the month. Just had 2 S-tier books in the month of February, and I just couldn't really not acknowledge both of them as, the best things that I've read in the month. So I went ahead and said, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make that choice to do co-books of the month. So a little bit longer of a book of the month segment in that video than usual, but that's okay. It's 2 books I felt like very much deserved the recognition that I was giving them because they're just phenomenal. I hope you guys will check those out. Looking at some of my more popular videos for the month, it was a very, very interesting month and what really resonated, what did not. That's always something when you look back on a monthly wrap up, some videos you think are going to do well that don't. Some videos you didn't expect to do very much go to the top. It's really, really strange. That's just the way that the algorithm works some days. If you figure it out, you please, let me know. I know a lot of people were interested in me doing this video about why TikTok didn't work for me. I was about a third of the way into recording it, guys. I just scrapped it because I felt like it was just being too negative, and that wasn't something I wanted to do. I know that people love them some negative videos on YouTube. That's not really my style. Thing is I know several people that I've met that do short form creation on TikTok, and they're great people. And I just sounded like I was just, trashing book talkers, and I didn't want to sound like that. So I decided it'd be better for everybody if I just didn't even just finish that video. I just kind of, aborted about halfway through just to forget it. This just isn't the kind of content that I make. Long story short, guys, Book Talk didn't work for me because when I get on there, I feel like my parents. And I'm like, everything's too loud. You need to turn it down. And it's just like, yeah, I think it's a young person's app. It really, really is. And that's just not my style of talking about books. So I think it's fine for me just to say, Book Talk wasn't really my scene. This is more my thing because, as you can see, I can't say anything quickly, especially not 60 to 90 seconds. But there are some really great people and great creators over there. And I just felt like I was just being negative, and I didn't want to do that. So that's why I scrapped that video. And I called an audible. And what do you do when you got to come up with a video on the fly? Well, I talk about Stephen King. And I talked about some underrated Stephen King reads, some books I think that, obviously you probably heard of because I don't think Stephen King can put out a book and people don't at least hear about it. He's just that popular of an author. But I was like, we've all heard the big ones, the Stans, the It's, the Carries, the Christines, the Cujos, all those. We've all heard the Salem Slots and the Shinings and things like that. So here's some books I think that are really good, but even constant readers don't really talk about them very much. And it was just 10 books I thought these deserve a little bit of recognition. And I kind of tried to space it out, not have everything in one time period. So I got some stuff from the 80s and 90s and 2000s up until, a couple years ago. Some books I think that just don't get the recognition they deserve. Because it's one of those where I think if you're really, really plugged into the constant reader community and you always see like these tier rankings or these top 10s, top 15s, these books are almost never on them. And so I just want to say, hey, these are some books I think are really good and deserve your time. Especially some of the ones in his later years that people were just like, Stephen King's kind of like Steven Spielberg at this point. He's kind of lost the magic. And I was like, look, he's got some gems in there in the later years, that I think that you should probably check out. Because there's several that during that breakup period that I talked about with Stephen King, that I went back and read and been like, man, that's really good. That probably would have pulled me in faster than if I had went back, before 11/22/63. But that obviously 11/22/63 is not on there because I think that one gets the recognition that it does deserve. But those are some that I really, really enjoy. And guys, I could talk about Stephen King books all day, every day. So it wasn't really a problem for me. So hopefully you guys will check out some of those. Did an In Case You Missed It clip. It was just me talking about Mystic River, the book and the movie, for my weekly update last week. Just in case anybody wanted to hear my thoughts on Mystic River, they didn't watch the weekly update. That's what the In Case You Missed It segments are about, and my thoughts on a wonderful book and a wonderful adaptation by Clint Eastwood. That I really enjoyed both of those, and kind of talk about those, giving them kind of their own little spotlight here for someone who wants to search up my thoughts on Mystic River. They don't have to hunt down the weekly update to find it. As for some next week plans, I did want to hit you guys with saying, hey, so I'm doing the cover reveal for Jay Kristoff's newest book, Empire of the Dawn, the last book in the Empire of the Vampire trilogy, and that was supposed to be coming out on the 13th. After he and I both had promoted that, the publisher did ask us if we could move it back to April the 1st because they want the US cover release and the UK cover release to come out at the same time. So that video will actually be getting delayed until April 1st, but I got to tell you guys it'll be worth it because Jay and I talked for about 30 minutes about the series as a whole, and it was a lot of fun. And it's spoiler-free, guys, so you don't really have to worry about, I don't want to know anything about Empire of the Dawn, Empire of the Dawn. That's book 3. You don't have to worry about that. He doesn't spoil anything. I think the biggest thing, I'm not even going to say that. Again, you're fine. There's nothing that's going to be like, you ruined this series for me if you haven't started it yet. You're not even going to know what he's talking about on a couple things. But if you want to know absolutely nothing, well, hey, maybe watch that after you read Empire of the Dawn, which does come out this November. But very exciting. And anytime I get to talk to Jay, regardless if you like his books or not, Jay is one of the coolest guys to talk to. He is so damn fun to talk to. I love talking to him. I think the first time we talked for like 2 hours, and I'd only read one of his books at that point, and I felt like we could have talked for way, way longer. But Jay, just salt of the earth, great, great guy. And I love his books. I've had a good time. I haven't read a book of his I haven't liked yet. So there we go. I'll keep on reading his stuff, and anytime I get a chance to talk to Jay, I'm going to do it. Just really, really awesome guy. So look out for that. April the 1st is when we'll be releasing that conversation and that cover reveal for the U.S. cover of Empire of the Dawn. So next week I'll be looking at maybe my book haul for February, looking at the pile right here. Some really, really great stuff. There's an unboxing I've been very anxious to do, and I haven't because I want to do it on the video for you guys. But we'll be doing that this week. I want to make sure that I say thank you to everybody who took time out of their day to send me something and money out of their wallet. God bless you. You're incredible. I can't believe you would do that. But I'm thankful for it. And I want to make sure I give you guys the props for that. Then I have an idea, but it's not really a solidified idea. I was thinking about something I'm not crazy about is big time magic systems in books. And it seemed to be, for a while there, it seemed to be people were more interested in the magic system than they were the characters, to a point to where magic systems became a character. There are some authors that are really, really good at that. I'm not taking away from that. But there are people like me who, I don't want to say you hate magic, but maybe you're a fan of fantasy without the magic in it, without the prophecy and all that kind of crap. So maybe something about like fantasy books for people who hate magic. I don't know. I haven't really thought too hard about it. But I'm going to talk about some series that are really, really good and you don't have to worry about them explaining how the sausage is made. Gandalf can do magic because he's a wizard. That kind of magic. That's the kind of magic that I like in my fantasy books. And I think I talk about some of my favorites for people who are like that as well. Want very little to no explanation of how the magic works, or no magic at all in their books. And I think we can talk about that sometime this week. Over on John's channel, Talking Story, we'll be doing our ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤 for quarter number 1, which is for Mystic River. So Philip, John, and Brian and I will all be on there talking about Mystic River. We'll do like 10 minutes spoiler-free. Then we'll probably talk for however long we want to about spoilers. I love this book. It seems like the other guys did as well. So I'm sure this one might be a little longer than the usual ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤𝕤. It was the first time I've got it wrong in a while. ℙ𝕦𝕤𝕤 episode. And it's just justified. It's an amazing book, and I think we're going to have plenty to say. I hope they loved it as much as I did. We've kind of refrained from talking too much about it because we want to save those conversations for this discussion. But we'll be doing that on John's channel, I think on Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. But it'll be live over on John's channel. I think it's Friday. I don't know. check back, and check over John's channel. If you're not subscribed to John at Talking Story, what are you even doing? Go do that. That way you'll make sure you don't miss it. And we'll also be doing a live over on Philip's channel, which is going to be on Saturday. That's going to be for Of War and Ruin. That's book number 3 in the Bound and the Broken. People have been asking about our spoiler discussions we have been doing for those. We kind of took a break there. Christopher's back. Christopher ℙ𝕦𝕣𝕠𝕜𝕤, he's back. So we're finally going to get that together. That's going to be Philip, myself, John from Talking Story again, and that's going to be Christopher ℙ𝕦𝕬𝕠𝕜𝕠. But we're going to be joined by Ryan Cahill, who's going to be talking about the book with us. So I think that should be a lot of fun, and we'll probably get a little bit of teasers out there for Empires and Dust, maybe. I don't know. But if you've read up through the first 3 books in Bound and the Broken, please join us. We'd love to have you in the chat, and you can kind of discuss things and bring up points with Ryan, and we'll talk about those. That'll be live on Philip's channel on Saturday afternoon. So again, subscribe to all of my ℚ𝕦𝕤𝕠𝕜𝕤 brethren and Christopher ℙ𝕦𝕬𝕠𝕜, and you'll never miss any of these videos. We hope to see you guys over there. That's about all I've got for the books, guys. Got a couple of TV and movie talk things before I go. This might be the unpopular opinion portion of the video. I'm starting to get worried that Severance is turning into Westworld. And what I mean by that, amazing first season, one of the best first seasons I've ever seen. Season 2, you start kind of waiting. I'm waiting for this thing to make everything click into place, and it's just kind of like, it's not happening. So they've got 2 episodes left of Severance. And I think after the 3rd episode, this season just went completely off the rails for me. It's just felt so disjointed, so unfocused, and it's doing that Walking Dead thing. The thing I used to complain about with The Walking Dead was you got this huge cast, and you won't see some of those cast members for 5-6 episodes, where it'll focus on one character, and the rest of the cast is kind of missing. Whereas I thought season 1 was focused so much about what was going on inside Lumen. This season's focused so much on what's going out, or did I say outside? It was focused on what was going on inside Lumen, whereas this season feels like it's focused a lot on outside, but it's doing so many flashbacks, and they're so out of order. There's several times I'm like, I don't know when or where or how this is happening. And I think the last episode they had was maybe the worst of the series. It's one of those where I don't want to drag it too hard, because it's one of those where you might look back and be like, it all makes sense now. It's just, that's why I'm not ready to write it off and say this is the new Westworld. That's the feeling I'm getting with Westworld. I could be like, it'll get there. It'll get to a point where everything will click and it'll make sense in hindsight, and it never really happened. My wife's ready to check out on the show for good. Like, she was so annoyed during the last episode. She was just like visibly frustrated. She's like, I need something to happen here. So I don't know. It feels like it's kind of angled a little bit into like that, almost like the A24 artistic over storytelling thing. I don't know. It's frustrating because I don't want to take anything away from it, because that first season was amazing, and this season started amazing. And now it's just been kind of spinning its wheels for like 4 or 5 episodes. I know episode 7, everybody thought was amazing, but I was like, you still don't have any answers, but it's not the kind of show where I feel like I've got to have answers to be satisfied, but I need some focus. I need some character. And what made that first season work for me was those 4 main actors being together with Milchick, and I don't feel like we're getting that hardly at all this year. We're not getting any time with that group together. And it's very, very annoying. It's very, very annoying. And I hope it turns around. They got 2 episodes left. And look, these last 2 episodes need to be bangers. Because if not, I don't know if I want to return for season 3. That's sadly where I'm at right now. So if you're still enjoying Severance, okay, I said unpopular. That's why it's called an unpopular opinion. But I've seen lots of gripes after the last episode of like, what the hell was that? So we'll see. We'll see. But hopefully they do stick the landing in the last 2 episodes. And then I'm excited for the 2-year wait for season 3, because that's what they do now, 2 years between seasons. But we'll see. We will see. I haven't started a couple of shows. I'm kind of catching up here. I haven't started season 3 of Reacher, and I haven't started Daredevil Born Again. No particular reason. With Reacher, I just forgot it was coming back, and now I think it's already on like episode 5 or 6. So, and I think it's only like 8 episodes. So at this point, I'm like, maybe I should just wait, binge it when it's done. Daredevil Born Again, I was kind of waiting to see feedback, because obviously I was nervous. Because it's not on Netflix anymore. It's Disney Plus now, and I'm like, we'll see. I hope they do it right. I would love to, because guys, I think that the Daredevil Netflix show was better than most MCU movies. That's how much I love the Daredevil Netflix show, because it was very much an homage to Frank Miller's Daredevil, which is my favorite run of that comic book. And I would love for this to be great. But I think for me, just seeing them back together again should be, worth your time at least. But I'm hoping that the show, maintains that edge that the Netflix show had. And I've heard mostly good things for the first couple of episodes. But, I want to make sure that it's not just everybody's just getting that sugar high of seeing a kind of a continuation of a show we never thought that we'd get to see again. So I'm not going to let that make me decide if I want to watch it or not. I'm going to watch it regardless. But I just haven't gotten to it yet. Obviously, with the things going on in real life this week, didn't really get to do very much of that. I got a gaming thing before I go, and it kind of ties into TV talk as well. And I started playing the Master Chief Collection. That's Halo, in case you don't know. And they keep on updating this every time. So I bought it on Xbox One. I'm playing on the Series X. They've upgraded everything. You can play Halo Reach on there now. And I was going back and playing these kind of in the timeline order. So Halo Reach, and then Halo, and Halo 2. And as I'm playing, I'm just like, this storyline is so good. And I'm just like, how did they shit the bed so bad on that adaptation? I just don't get it. You really didn't have to change very much. And I say, hey, it's not saying it has to be a beat by beat remake of the video games. I'm saying you had the blueprint in place. You knew it worked. You knew what resonated with audiences. Why would you make it so unrecognizable from the series? Oh, I know. You hired people who had no interest in the games. I think the creator even said, we didn't even look at the game, so we didn't have to, stick to them. And and you had nothing but complaints, criticism, and you got canceled after season 2, which would have been after season 1 if the show wasn't so expensive. A lot of people don't know that is sometimes they put so much production cost up front, it actually makes more sense for them to have a season 2 just to justify the costs, but they have no plans for a season 3. And I think that's what happened here with Halo. But I don't know, it just seems like a real missed opportunity. What I hate about it is that they'll take the wrong lessons from it. And they'll say, oh, well, nobody's interested in seeing Halo on screen, instead of, no, you just did a really, really shitty job of adapting it. And it's just a shame, because I think that could have been the next huge sci-fi series if they had done it faithfully. And again, it doesn't even have to be beat for beat with the game. Just don't change it too much. Follow that blueprint, like The Walking Dead did. 2 Walking Dead references in one episode. How about that? And that was when The Walking Dead was really, really great, by the way. There was a time. I know people look back on it now like, why was Walking Dead ever popular? It was really good for a while there when it was really following the comic. And this, I just feel like you could have done the same thing. Walking Dead, it was never page for page with the comic, but it kept the spine of that story intact. It knew it worked. What resonated with audiences, they kept that. What were you thinking with the Halo adaptation? Anyway, that's why I'm thinking, while I'm kind of recovering on the couch and just playing Halo games, which are still really great, by the way. Halo Reach, really, really underappreciated, I feel like, because I remember when that game was coming out, it was like, I have no interest in playing a Halo game that doesn't have Master Chief, and then people that played it were like, wow, that's actually really good. And it ties right into the beginning of the first Halo game. Really, 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 really great. And they've completely gave it an HD remaster now on the Series X, so it's really, really good. So there we go, guys. There's my gaming talk segment for the week. But what are you guys up to? I'd love to know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing. Why don't you hit me in the comments, guys, and let me know. And I will talk to you later.